All right. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Okay.
Good evening.
Father.
I'm Father Gray.
All right. Okay. All right.
Good evening, Father.
Good
Good
evening.
evening, Father Gray.
Good evening, Father. Okay. Good evening. Before we begin, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear
You all hear me very
Yes,
good.
Father.
Okay. Very good. All right. So the rest of them are still not here.
That's what I'm looking. The Muslims have not come in.
The Muslims have not come in yet. Have they been given the?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All Muslims are here. Yeah. Come. Let's see whether.
Yeah, I think they have to finish their prayer. Yeah.
Yeah, they're having their prayer, the Islam prayer, Islam prayer.
Okay. In that case.
Shamil Raja, Raja Durai means.
Okay.
Quite a few not in yet.
Quite a few are not in yet, but perhaps it's past 8:15 already.
It's 8:16. 1 minute.
Okay. Maybe we.
16.
Hello, Father Gregory.
Hi. Good evening.
Good evening.
Who is
Hi,
speaking?
Father Gray.
Oh, Christy.
From
Hi,
Holy Road.
Father Gray.
Good evening, Christy. Yes. I also see Angeline Lesla.
Father.
Yes. Hi. Good evening.
Hi.
Send Angeline also here. Okay. All right.
Angeline Lee is here, the real one.
Very good. Very good. Glenn Yap
How are
is
you
here.
keeping, Father?
From Assumption. Pastor Michael, Venerable. Okay. Yes. Wait. What on earth are you doing? Let them in first. Okay. Okay, they are here.
Hi, Christy.
Hi.
Hi.
Mama, yes.
Christy. Yes, Christy. Ada. Okay. Sorry, I've just received word our Muslim friends are having some. They're coming in.
Rose.
Okay. Meantime, can I just start off with the prayer first? I'm going to take the prayer from Fratelli Tutti. Okay. So this prayer, I am going to start off. Oh, I think better if I introduced everyone first. I'll introduce everyone, all present here. Okay, and tell you all a few rules before we begin. So, everyone, each speaker is given a time frame of 5 to 8 minutes to share. Yes, the event will commence. With Archbishop Julian saying a few words of welcome to all our speakers. I will be giving a short opening address, and then I will introduce the other speakers. So from the Anglican Church, there's Mr. Tan Jun Chi. Then from the Baha'i community, Mr. Bernard Tan. Could you please signify your presence? Again, Mr. Bernard Tan, are you here? Yes, he's here. I can see he's here. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
we can
Okay.
hear.
All right, Mr. Bernard. Then from the Buddhist community, Venerable Datuk K. Sri Dhammaratana. Venerable, I saw you a few moments ago. Oh, okay. There you are. Okay, fantastic. Then for Hinduism, Ashok Kandaya. Hi, Ashok.
Hi.
Then for our Muslim brothers, Muhammad Hairul Anuar. Is he here yet? He's coming in. He's coming in. Together with two more ustaz. Oh,
Father
okay.
Gregory.
Yes.
Father, sorry to interrupt. We also have Mr. Takurdas Jetwani from the Hindu community.
Okay, Mr. Takudas.
He's also in here. Yes.
Mr. Takudas. Yes, I see him. Mr. Takudas, just one. Peace to you.
Thank you.
Welcome to our gathering. From the Myanmarese Christians, there's Pastor Michael Moey. Yes, there, I see you. Okay. And anyone from Sikhism? Sikhism. Gurphajan Singh, he's here. Okay. From Sikhism, Gurphajan Singh, are you here? Are you present? Oh, he hasn't come in yet. Is he?
No, it's here.
Is he here? I thought I saw.
It's here. Gurphajan Singh.
Mic off.
Sorry.
Mic is off.
Oh, mic is off. But he's here. He's present. Okay. And then for Taoism, this is Tao Zhang Tan Ho. Yes, I see him right at the. Yes.
How are you?
Greetings. Greetings.
Nice to see you again.
Okay. All right. So welcome to this forum. This is a forum, sharing of this forum on fraternity, on brotherhood, on unity and peace. So welcome one and all. So before we begin, I would like to invite Archbishop Julian to say a few words of welcome. Archbishop, you are unmuted.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Especially, I'd like to welcome all our esteemed speakers who are going to share a little bit about brotherhood. Sorry, no sisterhood, only brothers. All speakers are men on unity and peace. I see familiar faces from our different MCCBC, HST, some representatives, our Christian brothers and our Catholic ladies, most of them. I'm really honored to be here just to support the initiative of the Archdiocese, or rather the Parish of Assumption's interreligious ecumenism, what we call ministry. I'm happy to be here, just to meet you, just to see most of you again. So long we are not able to meet in church because of SOPs and lockdowns. But nevertheless, many of you have put on weight and prosperous. So, may you stay healthy, and I will try to remain till the end of tonight. I think it finishes about 10. Father
Yes.
Greg.
Yes, correct, Archbishop.
It passes my bedtime. I may sneak off a little while. Nevertheless, I will try to be here till the end to listen to the words of wisdom from all our faiths. I think the major faiths are all here. I just saw Anuar, I think, from the Muslim community.
Yes.
Welcome.
Welcome, selamat datang.
And of course, our
Anuar, thank you.
Our Buddhist chief is here.
Yes.
Venerable Datuk. And also our Hindu brothers, our Tao Zhang is here. And I think the Anglicans are here, representing the Christians also.
Yes.
Yeah, a few.
Anglicans are here.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know some of you. But,
Joseph came in first.
And the Buddhists, the Hindus, the Tao, the Sikhs also, I think.
Yes, we're still waiting for them, Archbishop.
Yeah. So welcome and have a great sharing and deepening of understanding among each other. I think before we can pray for peace and harmony and unity, we need to know each other on a personal level also first. And I think this is a good initiative that we can come together just to enjoy each other's company and to know one another as fellow pilgrims on this journey, on this journey that we are making here together in Malaysia. So thank you, Brother Greg, and I hand it over to you.
Thank you, Archbishop. So yes, I'd first like to acknowledge the presence of Encik Anuar, or Brother Anuar, from the Muslim community, and also somebody else. PDE just joined us. Ustaz Fidei, Ustaz Fidei just joined us. So I'd also express my welcome to him as well. Okay. Now Gurphajan Singh is here. Mr. Gurphajan, welcome to our gathering. Thank you for joining us. And so, without further ado, our topic today is a very interesting topic, but a very not only interesting but important, because we need to talk about brotherhood, or if I can rephrase brotherhood as fraternity, unity, and peace. If you all, this is a very important consideration for each and every one of us. And I'd like to begin by calling on Mr. Tan Jun Chi from the Anglican Church. Mr. Tan?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sorry to interrupt. Can those not speaking please mute your mics, because a lot of static, a lot of echo. Thank you.
Echo.
Can everyone?
Please, I ask everyone else to, yes, please mute your mics. So I invite Mr. Tan. Yes. Please.
Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity for us to come together. In fact, we are very grateful for Assumption Church for organizing this interfaith dialogue. I'm an Anglican, yes. I worship at the St. Paul's Church, PJ, just across the road, I think. And I'm also one of the church wardens for the church. I'm a retired electrical engineer after working for so many years, 30 over years. Now I got more time to do community work, as well as joining any other work that to bless the community, which we are here for. Now, just to introduce what we Anglican faith is, I think Anglican faith is often considered as Reformed Catholicism, a hybrid between the Catholic and the Protestant faith. So our main prayer book is the Book of the Common Prayer. And we believe that our views are biblical based. That means we based on the scriptures and acknowledging that there is one universal God who created the world and the living beings. So we, however, as human beings, we are very special in the eyes of God, even though some may not know God, but in our Bible, in Psalm 139, verses 13 to 18, it says that, for you created me, my inmost being, you knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place. When I was woven together in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book. One of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of the sea. So you see that in our faith, we believe that God created us, and all human beings are precious in God's sight. Okay, and from this starting point, we will see that life is precious, and because life is precious, we have to respect each other, even though we are from different faith and we are of different culture or different races, because we are all created equal in the eyes of God and very precious. So we should consider, as our teaching, that others are better than ourselves, so that we would not be prideful, but humble, and be able to work together as one, united, even though we are of different opinions sometimes. So while here on earth, we continue to be God's ambassadors, to do his mission, to show love, justice, and mercy towards all, irrespective of one's belief. And especially when we see there's so much poverty in this world, so much suppression, and so much marginalized people, this is what our calling is. We share and respect and guide, and wherever that we are able to do, we come and provide help. So as the teaching also says, that we love our neighbors. In the teaching of Jesus, the parable of the Good Samaritan in the gospel, we are thought to be, who are my neighbors? Because this was asked by a very teacher who asked Jesus and said, Master, all the laws I have kept, I know. And the important law, Jesus asked him, what is it? He said, love the Lord thy God with all the heart and with all the love. But Jesus said, you also need to love your neighbor as yourself. Okay. Then the teacher asked him again, and who is my neighbor? And that's where Jesus shared about the Good Samaritan parable. The Good Samaritan parable shows us who and teaches us our neighbor is. Sometimes might be an enemy, or someone you don't agree with, or someone you hated. But when there's a need of that person, especially when that Samaritan was injured, robbed on the way to Jericho, and he needed some help. But the priest walked by, and he just walked away from the injured Samaritan. The other person also who came, but he couldn't do the teachers of the law. But the only person that come over to help was a Samaritan. The Samaritan was an enemy with the Jews, you know. So, but with his heart of love, he came and brought this injured person, the Jew, to get him back to health again, put in the hotel, and then paid for all the expenses. And this teaches us that when there is a help, when there is a need to help your neighbor, we must come up with our ability, irrespective of what we think of our person next to it. Okay, even though we might be of a different faith. And it also teaches that we should not judge others, okay, in the sense that and the speck in your eye, but the speck in your neighbor's eye, but there's a log on your eye, so you can't see what the neighbor exactly is doing, but you can see the problem of the neighbor, but yourself, your own weakness, you could not see, and that's why you judge the other people. So in this respect, in the brotherhood, we should accept one another and also look into the other goodness of the person instead of his weakness, and instead of the things that causes us to be angry or so on. So Jesus also, in the sense of peace, he said that, peace I live with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Shalom, peace. That means he allowed, let us live in peace. And he said, blessed are the peacemakers. So in fact, he wanted all of us to live peacefully with one another and take away all the hatred and take away all the negative feelings, but all the good positive feelings, we give thanks to God. Okay. The next, when he said that life is secret. In the old teachings, he said, a tooth for a tooth, a life for a life. But when Jesus thought about the new teaching, the additional teaching, he says that judgment is mine, okay? You shall not teach revenge, and revenge is mine, okay? And in that sense that we forgive our enemies. He also teaches us to love our enemies. Sometimes we are offended, and we are insulted or persecuted and falsely accused of all kinds of things, which do not really what we believe. Others will believe on that way, but in our heart we know that we have peace with God, and that is not true. If that is the case, we learn and we should believe, we should forgive the person. Forgive and love your enemies. It's not easy to do, but this is what we need to do in the community so that we live in peace with one another and brotherhood. And all the good things, when we are blessed, we need to also bless others. So from our church-wise, just to finish, we do have outreach work within the PJ community. We have this, we do the DTC, that is the Day Training Center for the intellectually challenged younger adults. And these are open to all races and all religious beliefs. So this will help those intellectual challenged people to learn to be self-independent. And also we have this early intervention program. This is for the younger and babies to intervene early so that these intellectually challenged kids will grow up and to improve themselves out of it. And in the Beacon of Hope Community Center, we have free tuition for the students. And this has benefited those in the Sri Sentosa area, where we have volunteer teachers, and we help them so that the importance of improving the education of this poor community in the region. So this is how, I mean, we believe as a Christians and Anglican, we can impact the community by doing such good things, and hope that everyone will live in unity and peace and develop and uplift each other. So that is what I like to share and give thanks to God. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tan. Thank you for a good exposition. In fact, we're going to share some of your sharings also, especially the Samaritan, the Good Samaritan. But move on. Thank you for your sharing. We move on to the Baha'i community, the Baha'i faith. I'd like to invite Mr. Bernard Tan to share with us on brotherhood, unity and peace.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, I can.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you, Brother Tan, just now for wonderful sharing.
Sorry, excuse me. Excuse me, Mr. Bernard, can I ask you to speak a bit louder, please?
Okay, sorry. Okay, I'll try to speak louder. Okay.
Have you got a video,
okay,
Mr. Bernard?
I just want to start. No,
on your
because I'm
video?
trying to speak louder. So, okay, can.
We can't see you. Is there, you want to give a video stream? Very good. Very good. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, is that good?
Just a bit louder, yes.
Okay, can.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to start now, okay? Okay, firstly, I would like to thank the PMEIA Assumption for organizing this, because it is such, for us to come together. I think for a long time, I've not met some of you. It's so wonderful to see you again.
We miss
It
you.
gives us so much joy just to see your faces. Just as I signed in and I was seeing your faces, I was so happy. Okay, and because dialogues and discourses like these are so important for us to build understanding, trust, and unity. So really, God bless all of you. Okay, so I'm covering on behalf of the Baha'i community of Petaling Jaya, okay? So I will start actually by sharing a few passages from writings of Baha'u'llah. So I'm not sure whether I can share the screen for this Zoom meeting. Am I able to share the screen? Would you allow me to share?
Yeah. Yes, we're trying to get it up for you.
Yes.
Can please try?
Okay, I'll try, okay?
Okay, good.
Okay. Okay, this, I'm not sure whether the screen is on yet. Can you see the screen?
It's on. It's on.
You can see the screen?
Not yet. Not yet. Just now we saw. Okay, there is a. We still can't see it. We still can't see it.
No.
This one.
No.
Okay.
Let me try again.
Yes. It comes and goes, lah. Mr. Tan. Okay. Brotherhood, unity, peace. Yes, correct.
Okay, is this good?
Yes, yes.
Can you see?
Yes, yes.
Okay. That's right. Okay, so I'm starting with the writing of Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah is one of the twin manifestations of God for the Baha'i faith, our young us through this era to maturity of humankind. From the book, The Gleanings of the Writings of Baha'u'llah. In this writing, he says, God's purpose in sending his prophets onto man is twofold. The first is to liberate the children of man from the darkness of ignorance and guide them to the light of true understanding. The second is to ensure the peace and tranquility of mankind and provide all the means by which by which they can be established. So Baha'u'llah is telling us here that we of faith are guided to the light of truth, understanding of things we did not know before or we are unclear about. This knowledge can be used to ensure peace and tranquility of mankind. And this knowledge also include how the instructions, the means of how to establish peace and tranquility of mankind. From another passage from Gleanings of the Writings of Baha'u'llah, he says, the well-being of mankind is peace and security are unattainable unless and until its unity is firmly established. So Baha'u'llah has informed us that what we need to do if we want peace and security, we must focus our attention to building unity. So how do we build unity? So when we consider existence, we observe that the mineral, the vegetable, the animal, and the human realms, each and all, are in need of an educator. A garden is in need of a gardener to yield a plentiful harvest. The land is in need of a farmer. If a man is left alone in the wilderness, he will take on the ways of the animal. If he is educated, he can reach the greatest heights of accomplishment. Were it not for educators, there would be no civilization. Education is of three kinds: material, human, and spiritual. Material education is concerned with the development of the body. Human education is about civilization and progress. It deals with the development of the body. Human education is about civilization and progress. It deals with governance, social order, human welfare, commerce and industry, arts and sciences, momentous discoveries, and great undertakings. Spiritual education consists in acquiring divine perfections. This is true education, for by its aid, the spiritual nature, the higher nature of the human being is developed. In order to progress, humanity needs an educator who has clear authority as the material, human, and spiritual educator. Should anyone say, I'm endowed with great intelligence and I have no need for such an educator, he will be denying the obvious. It will be like a child saying, I have no need of education. I will act according to my own thinking and intelligence and will achieve excellence by myself. Humanity has always been in need of such a perfect educator, one who can help it organize matters related to the nourishment and health of the body, can inspire it to advance in knowledge, invention, and discovery, and most importantly, can breathe into the life of the spirit. No ordinary human beings is able to achieve these formidable tasks. Only the manifestations of God have the power to accomplish them. These are chosen souls who are sent by God from time to time to be the universal educators of humanity. Okay. Now let me share some laws and principles of the faith, okay, for the Baha'i faith. Okay, this is from the if you go to Baha'i.org, this is one of the pages. So this is one of the important principles of the Baha'i faith. One human family, the Baha'i faith. The principle of the oneness of humankind is the pivot around which all the teachings of Baha'u'llah revolve. Baha'u'llah compared the world of humanity to the human body. Within this organism, millions of cells, diverse in form and function, play their part in maintaining a health. The functioning of the body is cooperation. Its various parts do not compete for resources. Rather, each cell from its inception is linked to a continuous process of giving and receiving. Acceptance of the oneness of humanity demands that prejudice, whether racial, religious, or gender-related, must be totally eliminated. Okay. What I just shared just now is one of the principles from Baha'u'llah. So now I'm going to go back to my last slide, which, sorry, my last slide is gone. Let me see. Anyway, my last slide has another writing from Baha'u'llah. So powerful is the light of unity. Sorry, I'm unable to show my last slide, so I'm just going to read it out. So powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth. Maybe I'll repeat it because it doesn't show. So powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth. So from the Baha'i writings, we are told by Baha'u'llah, holy words have infinite meanings. So from what I can gather from this final this final quotation of writings which I want to share is if we can understand the word illuminate as educate, all right, so we can understand the quotation as so powerful is the light of unity that it can educate the whole earth. So as you can see, when we seek for the truth, we find unity. And we work together towards unity, we find the truth. So thank you. This is my closing statement. So thank you for sharing and happy learning, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bernard Tan. Thank you. In fact, there are many, I can already see there are many points of confluence between what you're going to say, what you have said and what we are going to say. But I find it incredible that we have peace and unity, and all this needs to be, all of us need to come together at the service of peace and unity. So thank you very much. We next move to Buddhism, the Buddhist community, and with us is the Venerable Datuk Sri Dhammaratana. Venerable, welcome, Venerable. Thank you for joining us. We need to unmute you just a minute.
He isn't unmuted.
I see.
He isn't unmuted.
Venerable, you are not unmuted. You need to unmute yourself. Okay, very good.
Okay.
Thank
you hear me? Hello? Yeah, very good evening to all of you, my brothers and sisters. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Chief.
I can hear. Okay. Very good evening to all the brothers and sisters. And first, I would like to thank to all the organizing committee to inviting me to be participate to this forum on brotherhood, unity, and peace. I'm very happy to come together with all of you because especially we are living in the multiracial, multi-religious country. We had to be together, work together, stay together as brothers. That's why even Buddha's teaching, he already mentioned, we call Kalyana Mitra. They mean good friends or spiritual friend or virtuous friends. So when we associate as a good friends, so we have to build up our relationship together, brotherhood together. That's why he himself mentioned Sabbe Sattha Sukhi Hontu. They mean may all beings be well and happy. He did not limit it to one particular religion or particular race. He has mentioned to everybody, even as long as all the living beings. That's why he has mentioned Sabbe Sattha Sukhi Hontu. So one of the very important things he has highlighted is commonly we must practice loving kindness, metta. In Pali term, we call metta. So we must practice loving kindness. Then when we want to practice loving kindness, again, we cannot break into the poor or rich or different faith or different race, different country people. No, we all must practice for everybody. The example, if you want to practice loving kindness, myself, my parents, my family members, my relatives, and my good friends, and my enemies, as well as our neighbors. And especially we are living in Malaysia, for all the Malaysian people. And then again, beyond that, those people or living beings in universal. So we must practice loving kindness. So may all beings be well and happy. That means everybody we cover up. So not only human being or not particular religion or faith. So now, in order to make further, he has explained the to extend our practice. If we need, when we develop the good friend brotherhood, so we must practice or reach out to the people such as the metta, again loving kindness, as I mentioned to you earlier. Then again compassionate mudita, the karuna, mudita, upekha. They mean that is 4 sublime signs of Buddhism. Is metta means loving kindness, karuna means compassionate, mudita means sympathetic joy, and again we must practice equanimity. When we practice equanimity, when we practice sympathetic joy, when we practice compassion, when we practice loving kindness, we will be able to reach out to every one of us, everybody. We don't segregate one particular religion, or we don't segregate one particular race, for everybody. So therefore, Buddha has always highlighted this 4 great quality. But we must always remember, when we practice great quality, must remember we must use always our speech, way of thinking, bodily action. So this is very important. So when we speak, we must guide ourselves to practice loving kindness to everybody. And when we practice the mentally, again, we must practice with mindfully. Again, when we practice bodily, we also practice mindfully. So therefore, so Buddha has mentioned, if we can cultivate loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and again, equanimity. So this one, again, if I want to break down, we must be, again, explain to you, like loving kindness to everybody, then compassion to everybody, whether poor or rich, without segregating anybody. Always, like for example, we see an animal roadside, just knocked down. So what we have to do is, with the compassion towards the animal, quickly we must take them out. Then again, the sympathetic joy. I mean, if others, they have everything, all the healthy, wealthy, everything, instead of we are jealousy, we are angry, we must always try to be happy. Oh, very good. That people, the person's got a very wealthy person, is really maybe, we believe like Buddhist culture, karma. So because of previous karma, he's this life, he's very wealthy. So instead of getting angry or jealousy, we always must try to practice sympathetic joy. At the same time, equanimity, we always must be practiced together. So therefore, I strongly recommend to all of us. We are living in the multiracial, multi-religious country. If we can practice those qualities, definitely we will be able to develop our brotherhood, again, peace and harmony. Because mentally, physically, as well as the bodily, the speech, if we can practice this way, definitely there won't be any war, there won't be any misunderstanding. So we always try our best to encourage people to practice. So especially when we practice loving kindness. So we will be able to build up our closest relationship with our friends for everybody. But also not only from the mouth, from the mind also. So therefore, and if we can practice this way together, each and every one of you will be able to build up very healthy society, healthy life, and then again we can build up peace and harmony among our citizens of the world. So therefore, and today, I'm personally happy to meet with all of you, and we exchange our ideas together. We will be able to build up this society to be fine, peace and happiness and harmony. With this, once again, thank you very much for all of you.
Thank you very much, Venerable. I think we will remember your lessons on loving kindness. There is karuna, which you say was compassion, mudita, which was sympathetic joy, and you said the practice of equanimity, that one, equanimity. And that one was very beautiful, and thank you. We will remember what you have taught us, what you have shared with us. Thank you so much. Thank you. Next, we go to Hinduism, and I'd like to invite Ashok Kandaya. Ashok is my good friend from Lasalle, so we'd like to invite you to share with us the perspective from Hinduism.
Thank you, Father. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to the PMEIA Assumption Church for organizing this event. I think it's a timely and useful event to have. Now, this morning, I was contacted by none other than my good friend, Takurdas Jetwani, and he's here. And we exchanged some messages on what needs to be said this evening from a Hindu perspective. And he shared some of his thoughts with me, and I think those thoughts are worth mentioning here. So unfortunately, you're not going to have the pleasure of the eloquence of Mr. Takurdas. He's well known for that. He's muted his mic. But I would pretty much be echoing a lot of his words and his thoughts, being much older and I would think much wiser men. So let me begin, ladies and gentlemen. Now in Hinduism, there is no exclusionary rules. Everything is inclusionary. Having no rules is a rule. Choosing not to choose is a choice. Deciding not to decide is a decision. Only that you have to be true to who you really are. Therefore, everybody and everything is equal, with the added perspective that everybody is divine. So your real dharma is to behave consistent with your real divinity. And anything that you do that detracts from that divinity is a departure from your real divine character. It doesn't require one to go to the mountains or engage in intense prayer and abstinence. All that is required is to live life do your duty, do good, be good, spread happiness, and espouse the real characteristics of humanity as well as good, ethical, and conscionable behavior. So the test really is about goodness, in being a good person and in spreading that happiness. It must be less about being a good Hindu and more about just being a good human being. In helping or delivering aid of any kind, consideration of the recipient's faith or belief must not feature. Now, that in itself will make us good Hindus. Now, likewise, when fostering brotherhood, unity, and peace, now that must be an instinctive act and not necessarily rooted on religion or faith. That itself will make us good Hindus, Muslims, or Christians. Now, some of the examples that I can give, and we can glean this even from persons of other faiths, is, for example, those who follow a gentleman called Ustaz Abid Leow on social media. If you follow what a man like him does, he does so much charity, he fosters so much goodness, so much unity by having no reference to faith. He helps all and sundry. The other people that I would like to mention, and this is a personal experience, something that the likes of Father Gregory, Glenn Yap, we're all proud products of LaSalle PJ. The Christian brothers is who I'm going to refer to, all right? I had the pleasure of a gentleman called Brother Felix Donahue, the late Brother Felix Donahue. Now, if we followed them, they were able to foster all the brotherhood, unity, and peace. And they thought that without reference to religion, they thought that unselfishly, right? Now, so at the end of the day, when one talks about fostering brotherhood, unity, and peace, I think religion must not and need not necessarily feature. All right, faith aside, so long as we can be good people, so long as we can be less judgmental, so long as we can have mutual respect, then we can learn to see the commonality as opposed to the differences in our faiths. And once we are able to do that, it is so much easier. And I think quite often, as human beings, we make the mistake of putting our religious beliefs in the forefront. And in doing that, we forget about unity and brotherhood, because when we do that, sometimes we just see the differences and not the common features. So I think in the upshot, the important thing to take away from this session, and I've seen the common features even in the three speakers before this, is that as long as our mind is focused on just doing good, as long as our mind is just focused on looking at the person, the human being, and not his faith, his color, his race, then that brotherhood, unity, and peace can be fostered. That is all I have to say. And I think the other thing we have to also be conscious about, particularly at our age when we are raising the young ones, is how we believe, is how we behave, is what we say, is what they are watching. And that is what they are going to say, and that is what they are going to do in the future. And then it's pointless sitting back and shedding tears and saying, what has happened to the next generation, when we are very much the cause of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ashok. That one is a very beautiful and heartfelt sharing, shared so beautifully about how we must do and leave for the next generation, not the legacy which we leave behind. Let it not be a poison chalice, a chalice of many differences, but instead let it be a cup from which all of us may drink from. Thank you. That is a very beautiful chant. Thank you. Okay, after Hinduism, we go to Islam, and I'd like to invite Brother Muhammad Hairul Anuar to share.
Hello, hi.
Hairul, apa kabar?
Hi, Father.
Hairul,
Okay, hi, good night, everyone.
good night.
Hi.
Okay. Firstly, I would like to express my gratitude and thanks to all of you that joining this interreligious dialogue online forum, especially to the Assumption Church team that organized this forum tonight. The Archbishop of Kuala Lumpur, Mr. Julian Leow, from the Assumption Church, Reverend Father Gregory Chan, from the Anglican Church, Mr. Tan Jun Chi, from the Baha'i community, my brother Mr. Bernard Tan, from the Buddhism, Datuk Sri Dhammaratana, from the Hinduism, also my brother Ashok Kandia, Happy Deepavali, Myanmarese Christian, Pastor Michael Moey, from the Sikhism, also my brother again, Gurphajan Singh, and lastly from Taoism, Dao Zentang Ho. So today, as a representative from the Masjid Jamek Sultan Abdul Aziz, this is my short sharing about brotherhood, unity and peace in Islam. Our second of Imam of Masjid Jamek Sultan Abdul Aziz, Ustaz Fidai, also here today, and he is the best person to share this, but he gave to me this slot as a representative for Islam. Also my brother Ashraf Suhaimi also here. I will try to simply explain from our view of this. First of all, we are sharing our brotherhood, unity, and peace tonight. As a human, I'm sure that all the meaning of us are seem the same. The more important for us is now is to implement into our daily life. That's why together we have developed this PJ Interfaith Group since 2018 until now. There are many programs we have done together and also postponed because of the MCO for this year. As our records, in our last meeting, there are more than 30 of programs we have together done before. In collaboration program are the best example for us that shown the perfect brotherhood, unity, and peace in this town. This is truly the meaning of brotherhood, unity, and peace in real practice. Congratulations to all of you. Back to our view in Islam, the concept of brotherhood, unity, and peace was clearly stated and written in the Holy Quran, verse 13 and chapter 49 that said, O mankind, we create you from a single and pair of a male and female and made you into nations, people, and tribes so that you may get to know each other. Lesson that we got from this verse, all humans are equal in sight of Allah, irrespective of their color, race, and nationality. This verse covered all the meaning of brotherhood, unity, and peace for us as the Muslim to be practiced. As the Muslim, we need to practice this verse in daily life, not only read the meaning of this verse. I'm sure if all of us really implement the meaning, we are back on track to develop a good relation among us in concept of brotherhood, unity, and also peace all in one. Without brotherhood, we cannot unite. Without unity, peace cannot be achieved. Simple from us, these three concepts are all in one. It is still not too late for us to realize that if the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, lived in peace with the Jews in the holy city of Medina 1,400 years ago, then there is no excuse for us not to be able to live with our fellow citizens who call Malaysia as Negaraku in the spirit, true spirit of a united brotherhood. If we wish to continue being a multiracial and multicultural country, then we must show the younger generation today how having friends who are of a different faith and race is as easy as a natural as a breathing. In Islam, the doctrine of Tawheed, that means the belief in one God, that is Allah, involves the idea of brotherhood of all human beings in the world. For human beings and other creatures are created by Allah. So we must respect each other because we are created by one God in our doctrine. In Malaysia, the doctrine of brotherhood means that those of us who are Muslim must understand how important it is to be united as a nation. It does not matter that our nation is made up of citizens who are of different races and practice different religions. We must be aware that all Malaysians, regardless of their faith, have the right to call Malaysia as a home. After all, let us realize the significance of each line of our national anthem. Negaraku, tanah tumpahnya darahku, rakyat hidup bersatu dan maju, rahmat bahagia Tuhan kurniakan, Raja kita selamat bertakhta. That's all from Masjid Jamek Sultan Abdul Aziz. Thank you and back to you.
Thank you very much, Brother Anuar. Thank you. That was a very beautiful and heartfelt sharing straight from our hearts. As Malaysians, sebagai rakyat Malaysia, we all can understand and resonate with that. Thank you so much. So the next one, we move to the next speaker from the Myanmarese Christians. We invite Pastor Michael Moey to share with us.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
It's a pleasure to be with you, to meet you, even in this simple way, but there's no choice. So I'd like to develop on some thoughts first left behind by Junchi, and I go back to the parable of the Good Samaritan. Our theme tonight is brotherhood, unity, and peace. And there are three questions I'd like to ask from this parable. One, who is my neighbor? Two, am I a good neighbor? Three, and what do I do as a neighbor? It is interesting that in this story, the questioner was an expert in the Old Testament law, and he asked Jesus, "Good teacher, what must I do in order to inherit eternal life?" And so Jesus said to him, "What do you need to do?" And the reply was that to love God and to love our neighbor. And so Jesus proceeded to tell the story of the Good Samaritan. So coming to the first question, who is my neighbor? It is significant to note that Jesus only referred to a man. The phrase was a man. He did not specify the ethnic identity of the man. And quite possibly, the Jewish expert would have expected Jesus to say that the neighbor would refer to another Jew, because Jews are not supposed to have good relations with other people except themselves. And with this thought, it is good to remind me, and perhaps ourselves, that we share a common humanity in God. And this man who was attacked, stripped, beaten, left for half dead, could well refer to any one of us here, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, and perhaps not the least of all, a refugee. And looking at the refugees, there is much prejudice and discrimination against them. It reminds me of the discrimination and exploitation that they have in this country. They are also among the B40, and the difference between them and the B40 is that they do not have the legal documents. So they are one step lower than the B40. So in fact, they are a substratum of the working class and the B40. There are people, and their kids also have been exploited and bullied by our people. The latest that I've heard and also being involved in is a domestic worker who has not been paid for 14 months by a local employer. And there was another refugee who was working in a sticker factory. He put his hands into the machine to try to repair the machine, and then the stamper fell on his fingers and he lost all his fingers. But the employer didn't pay the insurance because he doesn't have the legal standing. So who are the neighbors in our society? Who are our brothers and sisters? Surely it must also be inclusive of the refugees as well, because they are created by God. We share a common humanity, common brotherhood and sisterhood as well. Hence, it's a good theme to reflect on tonight. The second question: who is a good neighbor? And in this story, Jesus turned the tables on the Jewish expert. He changed the object into the subject, referring to the neighbor, referring to the lawyer as well. Am I a good neighbor? There was the priest and the Levite. The Levite are also a group of religious people. After they had performed their religious duties in Jerusalem and probably were going home to Jericho, they just walked past the victim. They didn't do anything. And possibly they didn't do anything, maybe because they were afraid that they would be attacked by robbers as well. Or they were rushing to go home. Or they didn't want to cleanse the body as part of their religious duties, and so it would take up their time. And perhaps it does refer to me or to some of us or to our people that we just pass these people by, the refugees. We don't know much about them. Once I took a refugee girl to the hospital, HUKM, and one of the senior doctors asked me, why are these people here? What are they doing here? And for the life of me, I can't imagine why such a senior person would ask such a question. If a senior person in our society asks a question, what more about an ordinary citizen in our country? So much prejudice, so much lack of knowledge about refugees in our country. So am I a good neighbor? And so Jesus introduced the character of the Good Samaritan. And interestingly, of course, the Jewish expert didn't expect Jesus to talk about the Samaritan. Hence, it would be difficult for a Jew to accept charity from a Samaritan. But Jesus made the Samaritan a hero because to the Jews, a Samaritan would be considered an enemy, blasphemer, and a heretic. So to me, if I believe in God, if I believe in Jesus Christ, and there are those among us who are very religious, to do good works is part of believing in God, and I must do my duty. So the question comes back to me, whether I'm a good Samaritan. Am I helping these people who share the same common humanity with me? And the last question, what can I do as a neighbor? Many things. There's a personal dimension and there's the structural dimension also. The personal dimension is to visit them, to pray for them, to help them, to adopt them, to teach them. The structural dimension, a bit more difficult, but we can do as well. We need to mobilize the church, the temple, the mosque, whatever, to change the structures in our society to be friendlier and more hospitable to the refugees, to change the laws, to change the culture. It's difficult for a refugee to live in our country because they don't have the legal documents. Those who have the UN card is a little bit easier, but it's still difficult because there's a prejudice in our society against them. So my dear friends, my dear sisters and brothers, thank you for this wonderful opportunity to share with you a group of people who are invisible, but they are visible to the God that we believe in. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Pastor Michael. Thank you. There is so much which you have said, which we share in common, especially the parable of the Good Samaritan. But more importantly, about who is our neighbor. Maybe I will review a little bit more about that later. But now I thank you for sharing about the refugees and the migrants as well, those who are silent, those who are voiceless. Thank you for giving them a voice today. We next move to Sikhism. I'd like to invite Mr. Gurphajan Singh to give his sharing. Gurphajan, Mr. Gurphajan.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, very good. Good evening.
Good evening, Sat Sri Akal, goodwill to all. It's indeed a blessing if with God's merciful glance we are here together to share among us all the good things which every religion have taught us all, that to see all as equal, to help all in need, to help the needy. Basically, every religion teaches all these main basic principles in life. So as you know, very commonly you hear words, especially call it a Gurdawara. So we Sikhs, of course, we pray. When we pray, we go to a Gurdawara. Gurdawara, it means that it's a place where all the Sikhs come together for worship. And also it means that the residence of the Guru or the door that leads to the house of Lord, Almighty Lord. So in this case, we describe God as one universal creator God. The creator is in the creation and the creation is with God. That is our first belief, and we always pray, we chant his praises in life, morning till night. While we are walking, we are working, we always have him in his mind, in our inner self. And of course, there are three main things which our gurus, our Lord Master has taught us in life. Number one is to do prayers, meditation, which of course every religion teaches us. Number one is to always pray, as also stated in our Rukun Negara, kepercayaan kepada Tuhan. So it's there, we cannot just live without it. And number two, what is the teachings which we as Sikhs, our Guru Nanak has given to us is honest lifestyle, honest living. We should not engage in dishonest ways of making a living or making money and to feed our children, and from there on to also give it back to the needy. That is just not acceptable because it's not from your sweat, it's not your hard-earned money. So number two, as I mentioned, honest lifestyle, honest living. And number three, from here, whatever earnings you have gained or you have earned, you should share these earnings with the needy, with the poor. And in this case, I would like to share a very fine example during the COVID-19 pandemic. It was indeed a very blissful and really blessed opportunity where we went to the ground to serve the poor and needy, especially our dear foreigners, brothers and sisters, families of foreigners, the children, babies, as what Brother Michael has mentioned earlier about the situation of our refugees. Of course, they are all humans, but I have to state here that it's very, very sad to say they had no food at all to eat. Why? Employers did not bother even to look into their well-being. No salaries, no wages. And it was indeed a blessing. It comes in disguise. Blessings comes in disguise, where various NGOs, various churches, mosques, temples, Hindu temples, all NGOs got together. We were on the ground serving human, not in terms of money, but in terms of ration and cook food. Cook food where they could eat for 2 sessions. That means one is for the lunch and for dinner. We serve in one go. In Masjid India, in all the COVID pandemic closed down, lockdown areas, with all the other races, all the other religion, we were all together, and it was indeed very blissful. I was really taken aback because we were also involved in all this service to mankind. So based on that, that is basically what God has taught all of us, all mankind, to serve and to treat all as equal. Skin, creed, color doesn't really matters. Just serve. God has even said that if you want to come to my house, you come pray to me. If on the way a poor man asks you for some food and you deny him the food, I will not accept your prayers. You have to. I was there when I asked you for the food and you denied me. You denied me the food. It was me who was sitting there in the form of the poor man. So what are you talking about coming to pray to me? That is pure hypocrisy. That was a poor man who asked for food. You had the opportunity. You did not serve him at all. So basically, my dear brothers and sisters who are all here together, what is lacking in today's world is humanity. We have seen, as I mentioned earlier, we have seen during the pandemic worldwide, money has no value. What mattered most was food for the poor, food. Not even ration, not even dry ration, not even rice or flour or whatever, cooked food. Where they won't have money to buy, say, a gas stove or to buy a gas cylinder to cook. So cooked food, hot cooked food, cooked and was served, and we could see in their eyes, you could see God in their eyes. They cried, they hugged, all concerned. And basically, this is what we have to really, as all of us, I want to share this with you. We're not sure how long this pandemic is going to go on. I will put up a suggestion here. We, as all God-living people, I think it's time for us to put our resources together in terms of money, in terms of physical health, whatever, and maybe use this group, this platform, and this is the only time which we can serve. Praying to God and not serving the poor, my dear friends, sorry to say, I don't think our prayers will be accepted in the court of our dear Master, the God. So basically what I want to touch today is on humanity, the poor. They are out there. I have come across a lot of cases, majority are foreigners. One fine example, yesterday I had a call, a mother, a foreigner, she gave birth to a baby boy. The husband was sick, he has to go back to India. That was before the lockdown. And here, of course, he couldn't come back, lockdown. And here, she gave birth to a baby boy with 2 holes in the heart, Down syndrome. And as usual, the employer cheated her with the money, never paid her salaries. And today she's living in a shackle, in a wooden broken house, cooking, making curry puffs and selling it to another lady in the PJ Old Town Market. The child's medical bill, her own expenses, personal expenses, all are being taken care. So with this God's grace, we managed to help her, and we are going to help her more in the future. So what I mean to say here is I think it's time for us all together We are living in a very comfort zone, in comfort of our homes, and we have God has given us everything. But it's nothing like getting all our acts together, get united, serve all, and love all, and serve without any color, creed, or religion. So this is my just fine words. At this moment, these are the things which are really, really needed in the entire world, I would say, as a whole. So God bless us all. I hope we can really take on from here. Brother Gregory and Assumption Church, thank you very much for having us all together. Sat Sri Akal, goodwill to all.
Peace to you. Thank you so much, Mr. Gurphajan. Thank you. I think you have told us this in essence. Action speaks louder than words.
True.
And
Correct.
this one has to translate to amongst all of us. I think that is very good. And thank you for opening our eyes to see, yes, this is where we need to do action.
We have this time, we have to get together, united, and serve all.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so
God
much.
bless.
Thank you. God bless. So the next we have Taoism, from the followers of Taoism. We would like to invite Taozang Tan Ho. May I invite Taozang Tan Ho? Please make your presence known. There.
Yeah, thank you, Father Clarence Gregory. Well, it sounds very different if you're calling by Tan Ho. Tan is my surname. Ho Chow is my name. So it's Ho Chow Tan or Tan Ho Chow. Anyway, just for clarification. Very good evening to every one of you, especially Archbishop Julian Leow and our distinguished speakers. We have heard a lot, and then we find that all religions seems to converge on all the universal values. And just to talk about, when Archbishop mentioned about the ladies and the men, as far as Taoism is concerned, there's no differentiation between a man or a woman. We all are called brothers, Susho. There's no Suche, just called Susho. So it's the same thing when we say brotherhood. There's no need for a sisterhood. So and also I saw that there's a real Angelina Lee. I hope there's no fake one here. Because in Taoism, to be a real man is to become a saint, to be immortal. That's called a real. There's something that's the ultimate aim or goal of Taoist. So this forum indeed is very well phrased and framed. It starts off with brotherhood. And if you can build brotherhood, of course, definitely we'll have unity. And of course, with unity, we'll have peace. Fantastic. So I would say that taking part in so many interfaith forum or seminars, many of the world religious leader would concur that there's one God called by different names. And if you were to go to the Pure Life Society in Puchong, in Oklahoma, Puchong, it's written on their wall. One God called by different names. Basically, whatever names your religion called the God, it does not really different. Especially in Taoism, our God don't even have a name because Tao is not even a name. Tao is a way. Tao Lu is a way. It's a path. So and Ta Tao Wu Ming, Ta Tao Wu Xing. The great Tao has got no name, and the great Tao has got no form. Tao is mysterious. So if you think you know Tao and you understand Tao, actually that's not the real Tao. So it's so mysterious, and then you have to keep on thinking what actually is Tao, and you never ever understand the real Tao. So on this brotherhood, unity, and peace, I think we are very fortunate to be born here in Malaysia, and of course in Asia, because here in Asia we have got a very different culture. In Asia we have this culture of brotherhood. we address our friends, and then even those that we don't know, we address them as brother or sister, abang, akak, adik, even though we are not related, but that's the culture here in Malaysia in particular, and in Asia in general. So and then we call if they are elderly, we call them maci, paci, dato, nenek. That is something a very good start for this brotherhood in Asia and in Malaysia in particular. We have taken for granted actually, you know. But if a Westerner will find very surprised and taken aback. How come you're calling everybody maci? Is it your auntie or pachi and things like that? This is the thing. We have been so naturally calling each other by being a member of the family. I think this is the great thing that we have here in Malaysia. So to promote brotherhood and then unity and peace, we just have to follow our religious teaching. As we have heard from all the other speakers, all religion teaches to be a good person. And it teaches about compassion, about love, about living kindness, about caring, charity, helpful. All that have been told to us by our previous speakers. So we have to follow the golden rule that's always been used and also in the teachings of many religious texts. Do unto others what you want others to do unto you. For example, if I stay in the neighborhood and my neighbor is celebrating, let's say, Deepavali, which is just over, and I was thinking that, hey, how come I'm not invited to join in the festivity? So what do you want? You want to be a part of the celebration. So what can you do? So you do unto others what you want others to do unto you. The next time you have your Chinese New Year, for example, invite them. Invite them to your house. And then from there, they'll be reciprocal. So you're doing unto others what you want others to do unto you. And if you invite, let's say, a Muslim brother to your home, be sensitive. Be sensitive to their religious needs, like, haram and halal things, like the food and even the plates and utensils. So this sensitiveness is very important. We must be aware of the sensitivity, and we must be sincere, and we do what we want others to do unto us. And in other words, we can say that do not do unto others what you don't want others to do unto you. What does that translate? For example, I've seen a news article in the paper. This Chinese neighbor lived for a 1 week holiday, and he has got a dog and no one to look after. His neighbor happens to be a Muslim man, and he volunteered to look after and to feed the dog. Now that is what no, I think that's the first part, do unto others. Here we talk about do not do unto others what you do want others to do unto you. For example, someone comes to your neighborhood, parks the car right in front of your door, your main gate. And do you want that to happen? Definitely not. So when you know that this is not what you want people to do, please don't do that unto others. So that's the meaning of this. Do unto others what you want others to do unto you, and do not do unto others what you don't want others to do unto you. I think this is a golden rule that has been always used in international seminar and dialogues, and something that's very, very important. So I think that interfaith dialogue is indeed a very good way to promote understanding. It's from understanding, because certain things are sensitive to a certain religion, and if we do not understand, we will tend to be prejudiced, or we tend to be making wrong judgment, and that's very bad. And for example, let me just quote on the religious practice of Taoists. Now, when we pray, we offer 3 joysticks, right? We burn joysticks, and then we pray. And now, what's the meaning of that? What's the purpose of joystick? Well, if a person do not understand, is it the Taoists are contributing to the air pollution, or when you are burning the incense paper, you're also contributing to the air pollution. Now, the significance of the joysticks is that the smoke from the joysticks carries the message or whatever we hoped or whatever we wished to the heaven. And the God in heaven will get the message. It's like a modern day fax machine, whereby you can send your message to your overseas friend. But anyway, now fax machine is already outdated. Now we have got what? We have got WhatsApp, now we have got Zooming, and we got all that. So that is the significance of that particular practice. So if you do not understand, sometimes you might have a wrong assumption, or you might not understand the real meaning of why the Taoists burn joystick. Of course, there are many times when people overdo, but that has nothing to do with religion. Like if you read in the paper, there's a joystick that is 60 feet long and cost 200,000. These are something that's wrong even in our practice. This is only between very commercialized already. People wants to make money, so they encourage people to have a bigger joystick. You have a bigger joystick with more smoke, you only pollute the air. That I would say contribute to pollution. Really, yeah. So we always tell them, please don't do it. The significance is the same, whether it's big joystick or small joystick. The smoke does the same purpose. That's the meaning of the joysticks. So understanding of religion is very important. So this dialogue that we have, this forum that we have, helps to build, and to share the understanding of different religion and the different values. And with that, I think we can be able to not just understand, to tolerate, but to accept. Because when you do not understand, you just tolerate. And we all the time say for unity, we need tolerance and all that, But when you understand, it's more than tolerance. It's be able to accept for the purpose of your rituals, So I think that is very helpful indeed. And so this interfaith dialogue is a good way to promote understanding, and understanding will promote brotherhood as we get to know each other better, understand each other better. And with the brotherhood, as I said earlier, we will have unity and, of course, peace and harmony. And of course, just by this dialogue and discussion is not good enough. As what our other earlier speaker says, actions speaks louder than words. There must be more activities, which I think interfaith group here have done very well. The Assumption Church have done very well in having activities together. Activities like the last one was the proposed interfaith games, football, or things like that, right? So that are very good thing, because you really get people of different faith together involved in a certain activities. And that also can be in the gotong royong, or blood donation, or welfare and charity, like what our Sikh brother has said about pooling our resources together to help the needy, to help the poor. I think it's just fantastic. I'm so happy and honored to be able to participate in this fantastic group of interfaith leaders. It's indeed a great honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Datuk. Thank you for your beautiful sharing. And I too would agree that yes, we need to move towards action. We have been talking, but I think we need to have some concrete plan. So so now the next comes the Catholic Church, and I'd like to introduce you all to what I'm going to say. And I think also it also speaks about action. But before that, a little bit of background, if I can. Now, I think there were two speakers already. I think the first one was Mr. Tan from the Anglican Church, and also from Pastor Michael Moey. We also spoke about the parable of the Good Samaritan. So I'm not going to talk about that, but yes, from there we draw out who is my neighbor. And of course, this is an important skill for us to see, because in our scriptures, we spoke about neighbors. But in the latest document given by our Pope, Pope Francis, and he's given this, this document called All Our Brothers. And it talks about transcending all these borders. So was it Latin? It sounds like a mouthful. They call it a Fratelli Tutti, not Tutti Frutti, but it transcends so many things. But it is based on one of our saints, the saint called Saint Francis of Assisi. These are holy men who dedicated their lives to God. And so, if you look at the first slide, I'm telling you about this already, Saint Francis. So now, Saint Francis expressed here a fraternal openness that allows us to acknowledge, appreciate, and love each person. So he is personalized, regardless of personal proximity, regardless of where he or she was born or lives. So this already transcends all this. In fact, the second slide I'm going to talk about is where there was a time 800 years ago. Francis went to meet the Sultan, and here he met the Sultan in Egypt. And this is important because it is recorded that they found themselves among the Saracens and other non-believers without renouncing their own identity. So they were not to engage in arguments. So this was the instruction which Francis gave to his followers. When you meet somebody not from your religion, do not engage in arguments or disputes, but to be subject to every human creature for God's sake. So it tells us about brotherhood, submission to be subject to every human being for the sake of God. So I'll just look at the last one. The observation by Pope Francis, and Pope Francis got his name of Francis from Saint Francis of Assisi. And this is what he says: Francis did not wage a war of words aimed at imposing doctrines. He simply spread the love of God. He understood that God is love, and those who abide in love abide in God. And this was important, and this is important for all of us to see that, yes, we don't need to be, it's not about politically correctness. It's not about arguing over who is right and who is wrong. It is about spreading God's love. That is very important because it translates out into action. And so this is a very important factor for us. So the Pope in this year commemorates the 800th year of this meeting. But he tells us that, yes, it is important for us to live without borders. So if I can see, the third slide speaks about the pandemic. Very importantly here, we say that the pandemic tells us no one can live life in isolation. It is important that we need community. Talking about the second part. And so I think when we talk about community, we also talk about, this is the brotherhood. Very importantly, in Petaling Jaya, we have established a community. We have established a link. We have established friendship. We have established understanding. This interfaith community, which is built in 2018, we should build upon our strength. And this is important. The next point which Pope Francis talks about is dreaming together. What are our visions? What are our dreams? We have to be able to share them so that we can make this possible. Some of our aspirations were shared. I'll tell you, we talked about those particularly for those who are migrants, that those who do not have, those who are hungry, those who were not paid, those who were played out. All these tell us about dreaming together. We dream of a common plan of action. Now, I'm not going to talk about the rest because it's going to go on for 44 paragraphs. But what I'm going to tell you all is this. Here, this is slide number 9. slide number 9. It says this. I took this from a travel poster which I was supposed to go there, but tak boleh lah tahun ni. Cannot go here because because of the pandemic and the SOP. But it tells us about envisaging and encountering an open world. It says here, life exists where there is bonding, communion, fraternity, and life is stronger than death when it is built on true relationships and bonds of fidelity. On the contrary, there is no life when we claim to be self-sufficient and live as islands. In these attitudes, death prevails. So it's telling us we should not be an island. We should not declare ourselves self-sufficient. We should declare ourselves in part of the community. And this is what you all have affirmed. And even Brother Anuar also have said, yes. And the basis for that comes in the Negaraku. We are building a nation. We are, and I think it was Gurphajan who also, Mr. Gurphajan who also talked about this in the, I believe it's in the Rukun Negara. We need to be able to establish on that basis all that is good governance and good brotherhood. We have not talked about this, but it is very rare. I wanted to talk about something more specific, and I will talk about this. This is something which we all have to look at. I'm talking about the mental health. Now, this is important. It's not here. It is just reported in BFM News that 1,266 people in Malaysia died by suicide during the movement restrictions between March 18th to October the 30th this year. Ini baru tahun ni, 1,266. And the issues were 25% are debt issues, 24% family problems, 23 are marriage issues, 15 are relationship breakups, and 13% is work pressure, hallucinations, mental problems, mass media, and drugs. When we look at these statistics, it is telling us that we have to have a common action plan. Because if we don't, this is what happens. The government was so concerned with SOPs, and all of us are so engrossed in complying with SOP, but we have forgotten one thing: mental health, the health of our people. It doesn't matter whether they are Muslim, it doesn't matter whether they are Sikh or they are Christian, whether they are Taoist or Buddhist. What cuts across the borders is that these are mental health issues. We need to address them. We need to be able to come together and also advise each other, because we need to have counseling, we need to have issues to be able to recognize what builds, what helps mental health. We need to have common action. We need to do things together. We need to be able to have this common platform where we have gotong royong. This is very healthy. This brings out us no longer to be kept inside, but to move outside, to be community-minded. When we stop thinking about community, we then start thinking about ourselves. And this is a problem, everybody, because everybody will begin to talk about self-pity. Poor me, who is going to help me? Then this will happen. How am I going to find money to buy food for my family? My wife is threatening to divorce me. All these questions come to the forefront when we talk about this. So it's important we consider this in a common action plan. Also, the next one I'm going to jump, yes, because I know this will be a long. In chapter 4, Pope Francis talks about a heart open to the whole world. So the whole world we mean people who are not from our world. We're talking about migrants, we're talking about refugees, we're talking about people who do not share the same culture, even the same religion as us. But the question and the challenge is our heart open to all of them or not? That one is important. Then, okay, there is one talk about reciprocity. That means whatever you give, we also will share. Orang memberi, kita merasa. And this is a fruitful exchange. This is from European nations. But then the universal and the local. The universal, the next slide, slide number 15, talks about the universal and the local. What is it that we in Malaysia can actually enjoy? We are linked up to the rest of the world, but we have our local flavor still. Yes. I use food to demonstrate, but I'll just give an example, laksa, or whatever it may be, you know, chao kway teow, or whatever it is, nasi lemak. This is universal, but for all of us, we enjoy it. All of us, it doesn't matter what race or culture or religion we are. Nasi lemak is my favorite, actually my favorite breakfast. Okay, I'm getting hungry already. We shouldn't talk about this anymore. Then, okay, I'm going to talk about chapter 6. Chapter 6, which is slide number 20. It talks about dialogue and friendship in society. In dialogue, there we have to approach one another, speak and listen and look at one another, and coming to know and understand one another to find common ground. The common ground is what we all are talking about. How do we formulate a common plan of action? If we want to encounter and help one another, we have to dialogue. And that's what our community has been doing. This interfaith community has been doing. So we have to continue. Actually, it is very good to know that all of us have been doing this already. What Pope Francis is saying, us over here in the international, in the interfaith community, we are already doing. So if we are doing that, then we should plan and move into action. And so there are many other things which it talks about. All this we already know. I don't need to tell you all. It says, authentic social dialogue involves the ability to respect the other's point of view and to admit that it may include legitimate convictions and concerns. So Gao Zhang had already said, yes, we have to acknowledge, for example, the burning of joss sticks. We have to understand and respect their tradition. We should treat others, we should not treat others how we do not like to be treated. I believe he was saying this. So again, this is same thing. The topic is called building together. Building together. All right. Census, I'm also going to jump, all of that. Okay. I want to talk about one particular point, which is what Pope Francis told us. Okay. In slide number 30, and this paragraph 223, Pope Francis introduces a concept called charistotes. In Greek, this is charistotes, meaning it describes an attitude that is gentle, pleasant, and supportive, not rude or coarse. Individuals who possess this quality help make other people's lives more bearable, especially by sharing the weight of their problems, needs, and fears. So this one, we need to talk more, because I think we are now approaching charistotes. We are approaching this where we are talking about our problems. We need to share more. We have been coming together, but it's only on the virtual platform. We need to formulate plans of action. Okay. Paths of renewed encounter. The sign there, which it says closed for maintenance. So every relationship has to be worked together. We need to work to maintain our relationship. Without work, our relationship will fall apart. So even if we're talking about the roads also, they also have to be maintained. So for us also, not only maintain, but naik taraf as well. We need to upgrade. No, there is a poster. Okay, here we talk about prayer service, but no. This is page, okay, this paragraph 37 happens because This is what happened at World Youth Day in 2016. What happened was Archbishop and myself, we were in Auschwitz-Birkenau. Auschwitz-Birkenau is where the Germans had the concentration camps. And in these concentration camps, at first our young people went with us, they were very happy and they were laughing. But once they saw what happened, the killing, the carnage of the concentration camps, they learned about how bad human conditions were and inhumane beatings, and how people were exterminated like rats, like vermin. So Archbishop called to pray. But here we have to work together to ensure something like Auschwitz never happens again. We must never discriminate against one another. We must uphold one another. We must support one another. We must love one another. So this is what Pope Francis is teaching. And then finally, it says, religions at the service of fraternity in our world. So Pope Francis, to end this, Pope Francis gives a meeting between himself and the Ustaz. Okay, the Grand Imam. In Pope Francis says, in his fraternal meeting with the Grand Imam Ahmad Al-Tayyib, they came for a joint resolution. And the joint declaration said, we resolutely declared that religions must never incite war, hateful attitudes, hostility, and extremism. Neither must they incite violence or the shedding of blood. These tragic realities are the consequence of a deviation from religious teachings. They result from a political manipulation of religions and from interpretations made by religious groups who in the course of history has taken advantage of the power of religious sentiment in the hearts of men and women. This is a joint declaration. But what I'm trying to emphasize is that we must, instead of talking about hostility and avoiding hatred, we should talk about brotherhood with one another. Brotherhood, respect for one another, respecting the dignity of one another, upholding one another, especially in our efforts. Wherever you are and wherever you all say you are having difficulty, let us discuss it amongst ourselves so that we can come together and see how we can address that problem. I think this is what we have more than everybody else. We have muhibah. And I thank and praise God we are able to discuss this so that we may build bridges. We may be inclusive so that we can build community. And so here we have brotherhood, unity, and that there may be peace amongst each of us. Not just peace, but to each other we may uphold and upbuild one another. That I call peace and unity, kemakmuran. So, okay, that is my my sharing. It is already past 10 o'clock. So, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for your presence here. Is Archbishop still here? Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your sharing. I think there is, for further collaboration, there is room for us to continue, not just our dialogue, but continue our common action. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to invite Archbishop. Is still around?
Yes.
Yes, I'm around.
Oh, Archbishop, good. Archbishop, would you like to say a few words?
I think all have been said by our speakers. I'd just like to thank each one of them for their inspiring, enlightening sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Archbishop. Thank you for being
organizing this, Father Greg.
Okay. And so I'd like to thank everyone who has come. So for the Anglican Church, Mr. Tan Jun Chi. From the Baha'i community, Mr. Bernard Tan. From the Buddhist community, Venerable Datuk Sri Dhammaratana. Hinduism, Mr. Ashok Kandaya. For Islam, Muhammad Hairul Anuar. From the Myanmarese Christians, Pastor Michael Moey. From the Sikhism, Gurphajan Singh. From Taoism, Venerable Dao Chang. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Thank you so much. I bid you all good night. Thank you. Thank you, Archbishop.
Right. God bless.
Good night.
Good night.
Selamat
Good night,
malam.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Amia, Kimia.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Archbishop.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night, Archbishop.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Bye.
Happy
Oh,
New Year.
thank you. Terima kasih. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good night, everybody. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you. Angel also.
Thank you.
Ashok. Thank you, Takut. That's
Good night.
Good night.
Night. Night.
Bernard, all good
Night.
night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
And Angeline. Okay. Everyone.
Good night, Angeline.
Good night, Angeline. Good night,
Good
Angeline.
night.
Night, all.
Selamat malam.
Good night.
Good night, EB Julian.
Selamat malam.
Selamat malam.